Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to return to a brewery that's featured on the channel many times before. I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the years, a couple of different styles, but I think it is most definitely fair to say that this brewery are best known for their different kinds of fruity, juicy, modern, Nordic smoothie, whatever we're going to call them, sour beers. But the beer we're going to have a look at today is their latest release through Systembolaget here in Sweden. It is a little bit different compared to what we've had from them before as far as I'm aware, and it is supposed to be very nice. But this is a brewery that I always enjoy reviewing every month. So yeah, needless to say, I'm very curious to see how this one turns out. Hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head to Arlöv, which is a little bit to the southwest of me here in Lund, and to the northeast of Malmö, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Elmeleven, who are of course part of the Molecule Brewing Collective, which includes Nerd Brewing and Chad Beer as well. But this particular beer is called New World Ocean. It comes in at 6% ABV, and they're describing this one as a blackcurrant strawberry honey lemon drizzle sour. So yeah, I guess we have to call this one a pastry sour. And we have had a couple of pastry sours from Elmeleven over the last few months. Prior to that, it was mainly, sort of smoothie sour type beers that they were doing. But these days, they're making them a little bit more cakey and kind of pastry sour-like, I would say. But yeah, always cool to return to Elmeleven. This beer was released as part of the Lokalt Småskaligt assortment through Systembolaget here in Sweden for May of 2023. So yeah, let's crack on then and see what this beer has in store for us. As always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Elmeleven before, and we will no doubt add more to that list at some point in the near future. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer based on the geography tagging system. Just go into the homepage, use the search bar, put your hometown, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever you like in there. If I review beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that, of course, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Swedish playlist along with many other things, and of course there are a number of other playlists there that you can check out as well. But yeah, let's go on then and chat a little bit about Elmeleven once again then. So yeah, Elmeleven, as I've mentioned to you already, were originally based in Malmö, now in Arlöv, but the company was founded by Anders Kvist. So he started his brewing project a few years ago back in 2016, and he says that he views brewing his beer as his sort of artistic expression, but his interest in beer started when his friend bought him what he called a non-industrial lager, and he was just kind of blown away, this is what beer could actually be. But soon after this, his girlfriend bought him a cheap beer kit where you basically just added the water, and he felt that it must be possible to brew beer in such a better way than this, and it was this that pushed him into kind of all-grain home brewing. But he took part in various competitions and then joined the Minus Ett -1 collective, which was where he sold his first commercial beers at the Bishop's Arms in Gustav Adolfs Torg in Malmö. But production was very small over the first few years. There was only a few thousand litres brewed, but a while later he started brewing in the Nerd, Chad and Lilla Ölfabriken brewery in Rosengård, and they had several Systembolaget releases over 2020, and it went very well for them. They were brewing a few IPAs and things in the early days, but then they started to really focus on the sours, and Anders does say that he wants to try new things going forward in the future. But a bit later in March of 2021, a new collective called Molecule was announced. This includes Elmeleven, Nerd Brewing and Chad Beer, and they've got their new brewery in Arlöv, which starts off with a 1,500 litre brew kit. And over the last wee while, they've just been adding tanks to that. And it is basically what happens with it now is that Anders is the main brewer for the Molecule company. The other guys, Chad and Hannes, with Chad Beer and Nerd Brewing, respectively, they design their recipes. They do take part in the brewing sometimes, but I believe it's Anders who does the vast majority of the brewing for the Molecule Brewing Collective. He's the one who's employed by the company full time. But the name Elmeleven that he uses for his own sour beers, these guys are brewing the beers that are released under the Elmeleven brand are pretty much all sour beers. Chad Beer tends to be lagers and IPAs, and the Nerd Brewing stuff tends to be the big malty stouts for the most part, but a few other things as well. But the name Elmeleven that Anders uses for his brand comes from where he lived, which was Almbacksgatan Elva. So yeah, Alm in English is the elm, as in the type of tree, and this is just something that stuck with him since his homebrewing days, and he never changed it. But as of May 2023, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 80 different kinds of beer under the Elmeleven brand, and the vast majority of them, as I mentioned, are different kinds of fruity, juicy, modern, Nordic, smoothie, whatever we're going to call them, sour beers. But yeah, I believe that's everything I can really tell you about Elmeleven for the moment. I always look forward to these reviews every month. But yeah, let's have a little look at this beer and see what it's all about. So you can see the artwork on this one is a little bit different compared to what we've seen from Elmeleven in the past, but it is Anders that does all the artwork for these beers, I should point that out. But he's a lovely guy, very distinctive, quite tall, red head, very colourful tattoos. Yeah, really nice guy. Chat to him if you see him. But you can see lovely gold can once again with this one. It is a 440ml, I should point out, and you can see on the back here, New World Ocean. So like I said earlier, this one comes in at 6% ABV, and they're describing this as a blackcurrant, strawberry, honey, lemon, drizzle sour. So yeah, this does look pretty nice, and it is nicely presented. So yeah, you can also see, one other thing I should point out is the molecule symbol on the back of the can here. But it looks great. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. As I said, this one was released as part of the May release for the Lokalt Småskalig through Systembolaget here in Sweden. I think this cost me like 50, maybe 55 Swedish kronor. So that's about €5.50, £5 sterling, somewhere in the region of $6 American. So yeah, let's have a little look at this one and see what it's all about. And I will say, as soon as I opened this up, the aroma is absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I think this is probably enough for the moment to have a look at this one. But yeah, as we said, a blackcurrant, strawberry, honey, lemon, drizzle sour. So yeah, should be quite nice. More pastry sours coming from Elmeleven at the moment. But yeah, anyway. So before the head disappears on this one, I think we've poured maybe about 300 ml of the beer into the glass, but you can see that this one is poured with just under a finger of a frothy, I would say kind of bright pink head. There's some nice medium-sized bubbles toward the bottom there, but a few kind of more foamy ones as you go further up. But that does look very, very nice, I have to say. In terms of the colour, I would describe this beer as being a very rich kind of burgundy maroon type colour. Not much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, but yeah, one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones coming up toward the bottom of that head there, but you can see the head is just kind of fading away to be a thinner, more foamy layer the further on that you go with it. But it does look very, very nice, I have to say. Yeah, so in terms of the colour of this one, like we said, it's a very rich kind of burgundy maroon type thing. Reminds me of the Heart of Midlothian football shirt. But yeah, the colour of these beers depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrelation you do or any adjuncts you put into the beer will also play a role, and in kind of smoothie, modern sour beers like this, that is quite an important thing. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the aroma of this beer then and just see what it's all about. This should be pretty nice. They always are with Elmeleven. Oh yeah, smells absolutely lovely. Yeah, could sit and smell these beers all day, to be honest with you. As I've said many a time before, when it comes to the Elmeleven beers, these ones, and just, you know, these modern sour beers in general, they're always pretty damn, you know, they're always pretty damn straightforward in terms of their aromas, but if they're brewed right, they can taste and smell absolutely lovely. And this is what you get from Elmeleven every time. The beers are pretty straight shooting, but just really, really nicely done. So yeah, straight away with this one, lots of lovely, just juicy, fruity character coming out of it. So yeah, it gives you everything you would expect of an Elmeleven sour. I know this brewery quite well now, I have to say. But yeah, for me, the fruity side of this beer is really nice. I mean, you can smell the backbone of this one. You've got a lovely, you have a lovely little bit of a kind of, how would we say, You've got a nice little bit of a kind of roasty, toasty bread crust. I can just smell a little bit of roasty toastiness underneath this one. So yeah, you've got that lovely bit of fresh kind of white bready bread crust, and there a little touch of toastiness too, I have to say. But on top of that, you get lots of kind of, it's like a mix of, there's a teeny bit of woodiness in there as well, I would say. But on top of that, you get this kind of nice kind of sponge cakey type note actually. I'm getting a little bit of vanilla within that too. So yeah, definitely some white bread, some sponge cakey type notes coming out of this beer. It almost has a little bit of an icing sugar type note to it as well. So yeah, fresh white bread, bread crust, fluffy white bread, kind of like vanilla sponge cake, a little bit of icing sugar almost coming out of this one. But then yeah, above that, you start to get some of these, you start to get some of the more kind of smoothie sour type elements coming out of this one, which are quite interesting. So you can smell that there's a little bit of a kind of yogurty, there's a nice little bit of a yogurty type note coming out of the beer. So for me, it gives you that, it reminds me of these like Munch Bunch yogurts my mum used to put in my lunchbox when I was a wee boy. The kind of, particularly the raspberry and the strawberry one, but yeah, the Munch Bunch yogurts, it really kind of reminds me of that, to be honest with you. So yeah, that little petit filou Munch Bunch yogurty type thing, and there's from the creamy oats. You can smell there's a little bit of wheaty smoothness in this one as well. So yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, is really, it's really quite nice. And then on top of that, you can smell there is a little bit, they're saying there's honey in this one as well. I don't get too much in the way of brown sugar, but you do get just a little bit of that kind of, you do just get a little bit of honey kind of coming out of this one, which is quite nice actually. So that gets a thumbs up from me as well. I think this is quite interesting in that particular sense. Yeah. So aroma wise, this beer is pretty nice on that front. So on top of that, you have other than that, I don't know if there's really too much to say about the kind of malty side of the beer, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I think the fruity, I think other than that, yeah, really not too much to say about it on the malty side of things. So the other thing to mention would be the kind of the green component with this beer. Now I know Anders doesn't tend to use hops in his beers, and when it comes to these kind of modern sour beers, there's a bit of a debate about this. You know, some breweries like to use a bit of hop in them because they say it adds to the complexity of the beer. Other breweries don't, because they say, you know, you don't really need to. But back in the day with the old school kind of woody Belgian type sours, what they used to do was use old hops so that it didn't detract too much from the sourness of the beer. And that's another argument that comes into play. So when it comes to breweries that specialise in these kind of like sour beers, for example, it's always interesting to you know, think what kind of mentality they actually have when it comes to their. It's always interesting to think what sort of mentality they have when it comes to the hoppy side of things. So yeah, I do find that quite interesting. Yeah, for me, yeah, aroma-wise, this is quite. This one is quite nice actually. So with this one, you do get a little bit of. I get the hop. There's no hops in this one, so what we're getting is a little bit of placebo effect. So for me, there's a teeny little bit of earthy and herbal character, a little bit of kind of woodiness as well. So yeah, a little bit of earthiness in there, a little bit of herbal character, some nice kind of floral notes as well, and a wee bit of grassiness. It just has a little bit of that almost brambly, woody type thing coming out of it. Yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, is really quite nice. On the fruity side of things, it's kind of what you'd expect. I mean, for me, you get a lot of kind of sharp. I get quite a little bit of sharp, like blackberry out of this one. Does it say what is it? It says it's blackcurrant. I actually would have guessed it was blackberry, but yeah, you can certainly smell the juicier kind of strawberry underneath this one. But I get quite a little bit of like sharp raisiny notes out of it, a bit of blackberry, as I said. But the juicy strawberry is definitely underneath there, and you can smell the juicier blackcurrant as well, to be honest with you. I've always found that currants are a bit smoother and a bit more oily than berries, to be honest with you. But there are a few other things in there, like, you know, kind of more candied fruits, like candied strawberry and all this kind of jazz. But yeah, I do like how this goes together. So yeah, for me, aroma-wise, this is very, very nice actually. As I always say, take a little bit of time to just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it, because you'll always find some really interesting stuff. And I mean, yeah, Elmeleven, their aromas are always pretty damn good. So yeah, let's get the rest of this guy into the glass and see what it's all about. And we'll have a taste of this one. But just look at that, it looks beautiful. Again, really cool artwork with this one. It looks almost like a kind of spider or something coming out of the ocean. You see, absolutely love that. You see, beautiful artwork once again from Anders. I need to see if he's got some of these in like just this plain sticker form. I'd love to just make a kind of collage of them, but anyway, that's another story. So yeah, anyway, this is the New World Ocean, a 6% pastry, smoothie, whatever you want to call it, sour beer from Elmeleven. They're describing this one as a blackcurrant strawberry, honey lemon drizzle sour. This one obviously comes from Elmeleven, part of the Molecule Brewing Collective in Arlöv, just outside of Malmö here in the south of Sweden. But let's get stuck into this. Slange, skål, cheers. Oh yeah. I have to say, once again, really, really nice from Anders. So a big thumbs up to him. Don't know what it is about these sour beers, but they're just always really, really nice. This one, the last one we tried, the collaboration with Vault City, that was good, but I felt that wasn't quite as thick and creamy as their Elmeleven beers normally are. This one is more kind of back to form, in my mind, with what Elmeleven normally put out there. This one has got a little bit more body to it, a little bit more thickness and things, and I really like that about it. So, yeah, big thumbs up from me. So yeah, just lovely stuff once again. It's got everything you would want from an Elmeleven beer. Big creaminess in the backbone, you get a little bit of the savoury pastry sort of thing in there, but then you also get the big juicy kind of fruity characters, a bit of the sourness, and just a wee bit of a kind of green placebo effect coming out of this one too. So yeah, the way this beer goes together, very nice. Gets a big thumbs up from me. So yeah, let's try and break this down and just describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So yeah, for me, middle third of your palate in this beer, you can feel that lovely kind of smooth, yeah, you can feel that lovely kind of smooth, white bready backbone in this one. So yeah, that comes out of this one. Right, we've got that little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust. Toward the middle, toward the front of that middle third of your palate, sorry, you get a little touch of woody character, and within that you've got a little bit of vanilla. But then above everything else, you have that more, you absolutely have that more kind of fluffy, you've got a little bit of a more kind of fluffy, white bready, sponge cakey sort of thing with this one. So yeah, the bread crust is the base, a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of wood, and then yeah, you have this. It is a little bit like sponge cake in the base layer, and then you get a more kind of white bready character above that. So it's kind of like there's two layers. The bready note almost has a little touch of sweetness to it, and the sponge cake just has a little bit of an almost kind of icing, sugary, dry sweetness as well. So that's really interesting, actually, the way that that pieces together. So for me, above the the kind of bready layer, you can feel the wheat is there. There is some wheat in there just densifying that out. But then you get, and the wheat is quite smooth in this one, I would add that. So you've got the smooth wheaty layer in this one, and then you've got the nice, then you absolutely have the nice kind of creamy oats in there as well. So it's almost like there's a circle in the middle of your palate. So you get the nice kind of creamy oaty notes in there, and then you also have the, how would you say, you also, with the creamy oats, you also have a little bit of that. You can feel the oats, it's very fresh, this beer, and as I've always said, you know, oats are usually an indicator of how fresh your beer is. The older the beer is, the drier the oats get, but here it's very, very creamy. But on top of the oats, you can feel there's another little circle there that's like a kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy type thing. So yeah, lovely kind of creamy oats. They kind of go down the middle line of your palate and they show you all the kind of lovely creaminess there. Then as you move out toward the edges of your palate, you start to get a little bit more of a kind of, yeah, you definitely start to get a little bit more of a kind of dryness out of the oats for sure, I would say. So yeah, interesting stuff in that sense. But yeah, very, very creamy and smooth, this one. So it does have elements of smoothie sour to it, this one. It's not simply kind of savoury and pastry-like, actually. So, the way that goes together is really, really nice. In the middle of your, you get more sweetness out of this one as well, the further into the aftertaste you go. And it does, it's strange, this one, because you do get a little touch of honey just pushing its way out of this beer the further into the aftertaste that you go. So yeah, I quite like that about this one, actually. So I think that covers the middle third of your palate. Then let's go on to the the back third of your palate. Then, so the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get a nice little bit of kind of bready build up in there. It's like a sweet white bread, but it also has a little bit of that kind of sponge cakey type layer. But the base of that back third of your palate, you've got similar layers, but they just come out slightly differently. So yeah, you've got that nice kind of yeah, you've got that nice kind of bread crusty base coming in there. So yeah, nice kind of bread crusty base. Above that, you have a little bit of a more yeah, little bit of a bread crusty base, and you can feel that's a little bit drier. As I've always said, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back on the palate, sweeter flavours come out further forward. So yeah, a little bit of a kind of dry bread crusty base in there. On top of that, there's almost like a little bit of a kind of crackery layer, but then you have the kind of sponge cakey note that I was talking about earlier. That layer is a lot lighter and a lot more airy, and then, pardon me, you have the white bready layer above that. There's a bit of smooth wheaty character coming out of this one as well. The wheaty layer in this one, the smoothness is quite nice. As the wheat in this beer is really, really very smooth throughout. And then above everything else on that back third of your palate, you've got a wee touch of yeah, you do get a little touch of more kind of yeasty type quality coming out of this beer. So I do like how that. I really do like how that pieces together in this particular beer. So yeah, you can definitely feel that the flavour is taller on the back. It is taller on the back third of your palate, but then as you come further forward, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So that gets a bit of a thumbs up. It gets a bit of a thumbs up. It gets a thumbs up for me. You can feel that the flavour just condenses down. But I do like it. The mouthfeel you get from these Elmeleven beers is always really nice. The smoothness and the creaminess and stuff. It is really a little bit hard to decide whether this one should be more of a pastry or a smoothie stout based on its malty and yeasty kind of characteristics. I would actually say it was more. This one was more of a smoothie sour rather than the pastry sour, to be honest with you. But the last one we had from them was definitely a pastry sour. Be interesting to hear Anders' thoughts on that, actually. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the kind of hoppy side of the beer, the green component, the placebo green component. So anyway, as I said earlier, this beer doesn't have hops in it. You can kind of tell from the smoothness around the edge of your palate. But yeah, you've got a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, you get a little touch of herbal character, and as you push toward the kind of front corners of your palate, you get a little bit more, a little touch of that kind of placebo floral aromaticity, but there's definitely a wee bit of grassiness around the front curve of your tongue there, and for me it's got a little bit of that bramble type quality to it as well. So that's really interesting. I do like how that goes together in this beer, definitely. So, I think that covers the green component of the beer, if we can call it that. Let's look at the front third of your palate and the kind of fruity side of things. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get a little bit of bready, you do get a little bit of bready build up in there. So you can feel that it's like a smooth white bready note, but it does have a wee bit of that kind of sponge cakey, vanilla sponge sweetness to it. But the base of that front third of your palate, you've got more of the bread crusty character in there, a little bit of a smooth kind of sponge cakey note above that, and then you get the juicy fruity notes coming out of this one too. So yeah, it's interesting. So the fruity side of this beer is quite interesting. It's not one of the more complex fruity sour beers we've had from Elmeleven. I think this one's actually kind of quite straightforward. So at the back of that front third of your palate, you do get a little bit of an almost like raisiny type note, but you can definitely feel the juicy. You can feel the juicy strawberry sort of sitting in the base, and then the kind of more, just the kind of more oily blackcurrant sitting on top. But as always, just behind that very front tip of the tongue, you get the kind of sour attack, if you like. You get that little bit of sharper sour attack in there, and it just mellows out the further into the aftertaste you go, and you get all these lovely juicy kind of figgy oily type notes coming out of this one. So yeah, the way that this beer, the way that the beer goes together in that sense is really quite nice, and that also gets a thumbs up from me. I keep saying that in this video, keep doing that. But yeah, this is a lovely, lovely sour beer, and maybe one of my favourite ones I've had actually from Elmeleven in a wee while. The sponge cakey type flavours that you get out of this one strike me as being a little bit unique in comparison to some of the other ones that we've had from them before, and the fruitiness is really good as well. And just that little bit, you know, I was saying I wasn't really getting much honey out of it, but there is a wee touch of an almost honey brown sugary character that comes out of this beer the further into the aftertaste you go. But, you know, I always know to expect a nice beer from Elmeleven. They've delivered once again. I cannot complain in the slightest about this one. So, yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the tasting side of this video. We'll just round off with a wee look at the mouthfeel then. So yeah, for me, mouthfeel wise, this one's kind of top end of mid body, bottom end of full bodied. The carbonation is very, very smooth. Really has a nice kind of creamy mouthfeel to it, this one, I have to say. And then beyond that, yeah, beyond that, you do have a whole host of things going on with this one. So in terms of IBUs, I think technically speaking this beer will be 0 IBUs, but there is a little touch of bitterness to this one for me, so it's probably about 5 IBUs or something like that, if we can even indeed say that. But then yeah, you've got maybe about 5 IBUs to it. The malt, as I said, has a little bit of dryness to it, lots of kind of smoothness, and you get some more icing, sugary, sweet dryness later on. You get the little bit of honey, I think, coming out too. Lovely creaminess, big kind of juicy, fruity notes in there as well. Got a little bit of sharpness to it, which I find quite interesting as well. But yeah, the way everything goes together in this beer for me is really quite nice actually. So it's a big, big thumbs up from me actually. Yeah, I think that's everything that we really need to say about this one, to be honest with you. Another very, very nicely done beer from Elmeleven, and I wouldn't expect any less of them, to be honest. So yeah, this was the New World Ocean, a blackcurrant, strawberry, lemon, honey, drizzle sour, I think. Did I get it all right? Yeah, blackcurrant, strawberry, honey, lemon, drizzle sour. I got it the wrong way around. But yeah, a 6% kind of mix of a smoothie and pastry sour, I would say. Always very good offerings from Elmeleven in this particular category. So yeah, have a look at this brewery and this particular beer if you get the chance. But yeah, I think we can leave it there for this. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Elmeleven as well. For me, this one's a little bit unique because it has a little bit more of a kind of sponge cakey character to it in comparison to some of the other offerings we've had from them in recent times. But yeah, lovely beer once again from them. Check out this brewery if you get the chance. Check out my social media, check out theirs, and I'll see you guys in another review very, very shortly. Slàinte, skål, and cheers.